Accountability, simply put, is it means simply to take responsibility for one's actions and to answer for them, right? To take responsibility for one's actions and to answer for them. Now, I think about this, especially as an educator. You know, as I mentioned before, I'm currently in Detroit, Michigan. In my first year, fam, I am not going to lie to you. Those first few months were hard. Okay. I remember there were so many days I would walk down the hallways in our school and I would ask myself, Paul, what have you gotten yourself into? What have you agreed to? And then after a while, we begin to get our footing, right? We begin to get our footing. But earlier in the year, we actually lost quite a few teachers for various reasons. Okay, we lost some for various reasons. And I remember one particular day, there was a substitute teacher who called me down to her classroom. And she said, Mr. Henderson, these students keep making this noise. I asked them to stop and they keep on making the noise. Literally, as she's telling me this, now I'm the dean of students, right? I'm over culture, I'm over behavior, a lot of suspensions and so on and so forth. They come from me, suspensions, consequences, but you know, however we choose to deal with the situation, a lot of them come from me. So she tells me what's happening, and literally, fam, as she's telling me what the students are doing, one of the students chooses to make the noise right in front of me. Now, I heard the area where the noise came from, and I just knew that I had the right student. Okay. And I say to the young man, I says, so you're going to make this noise right in my face as she's telling me what's going on. Head to my office. Head to my office. So he heads to my office, and we're going to have a man-to-man talk, right? Because you're not going to sit up here and disrespect me because, fam, you know, am I a loving educator? Absolutely. But by this point, right, I'm ready to dig into the student because, you know, it got to a point where we had to really establish authority. We had to figure out a way to gain control within the school. So every once in a while I had to be, you know, very firm. And I actually think that being firm is a loving thing because our students need to understand what it means to have authority and to honor and respect authority while still being loved by still being cared for by said authority. So I called this young man into my office, and I'll be honest, he was a tough one. You know, we have some students who you might say are what you would call fake tough, right? They do these things in front of their friends, their classmates, their peers. But this guy was actually, you know, he was kind of tough. He was a shorter guy, right? But he was actually kind of tough, and I knew that about him. And so we were talking, I mean, and the attitude and the defiance was just off the charts. And I looked at him, and I said, what you want to be a little thug, right? And fam, I'll be honest, I actually said this to him. I say, you want to be a little thug? Where is that going to get you? Where is that going to get you? But then, of course, I had to soften it, right, fam? I said, what's your vision? What's your vision? Because I want him to be thinking about his vision. You know, first I'm asking him, does he want to be a thug? Now I'm asked about his vision. Make it make sense. Here's the thing, though. He told me he did not have a vision for his life. That did hit me, fam. It did hit me. So what I said to him, and I meant this, I said, how about this? We can catch up from time to time, and I can help you establish or identify that vision for your life. And reluctantly, he agreed, okay? He agreed. We talked for a little while longer, and then I sent him back to class. I soon found out that it was not him that made that noise in the class while I was talking. It was the person behind him. Fam, and it was actually a young lady, okay? And she made the voice in a way that it could have been either one. I knew that I had to get it right with him. I knew that I had to get it right with him. Because here's the thing. I've seen this happen from time to time where adults will get it wrong, right? Okay? Adults will get it wrong. We know that we got it wrong, but we don't go back to that student and apologize. So how am I going to tell him to be accountable, but I'm not choosing to be accountable? Make it make sense. It doesn't work that way. And I firmly believe in true justice, meaning, if you do something wrong, there's a consequence. But if you don't do something wrong, I'm not going to give you a consequence for something that you didn't do, right? I'm not going to punish you or give you a consequence for something that you didn't do. Because how are we going to teach our children, teach our young men, teach our young black men in specific to honor authority, to honor and respect authority if they're being falsely accused? You see, they learn how to honor and respect authority, one, in their home, two, in the school. Those are two places, two pivotal places where they learn to honor and respect authority. But it's hard for them to honor and respect authority if they're being falsely accused for something the person knows that what they are doing or they knows that what they're saying is wrong, and they don't come back and make it right with that student. So I knew that I had to find this young man and I had to go back and make it right with him. So I called him to my office. And I said, hey, man, I found out who made the noise, and I found out that it was not you. And I just want to apologize to you. I was wrong. I blamed you for something that you did not do. He accepted my apology, and I was very grateful for that. But here's the thing, fam. As he left my office, I knew in my heart, and I really believe the Lord placed it on my heart, that I needed to apologize to him in public. Just as loud as I may have gotten on him in front of his classroom because I really thought that he was being defiant in front of his classroom, as loud as I was with my scolding, if you will, I need to be just as loud with my apology. So I found him. I went to his classroom and I addressed him in front of the class, and I addressed the class. And I said, I got on your classmate pretty hard a little bit earlier because I thought it was him that did something. And fam, I told them, I said, class, I realized that I was wrong. I know who did it. That student has been addressed. But in front of your classmates, sir, I want to apologize to you for what I did and for getting on you for something that you did not do. And fam, if you could have seen him, it was amazing. His shoulders literally went from being tense to just dropping, just almost like a sense in a sigh of relief. And once again, this is one of our tougher students. When he wasn't fake tough. He got in trouble before this. He got in trouble after this. But in this case, he did not do it. And I didn't want to hold him accountable for something that he didn't do. Rather, I wanted him and his classmates to see what it looked like for an adult to hold themselves accountable. I was wrong. I acknowledged that I was wrong in front of him. About a month or two later, I was going through some of his documents because he did get in trouble for something that he legitimately did a little bit down the road. Okay. And I was calling his parents, and our principal told me, he said, hey, call his father. I've had a lot of success when it comes to dealing with him, dealing with his father and his behavior. I called his father, left a voicemail. The student came to my office. He said, Mr. Henderson, did you call my mom yet? I said, I called her, but I was unable to reach her. So what I did was I called your dad and left a voicemail because he wasn't able to play in the basketball game because of something else that he had done, right? He said, Mr. Henderson, my dad died, man. What? I said, hey, when did your dad pass away? He told me around the time his dad passed away. And fam, it was right around that time where I had gotten on him for something that he didn't do. My heart sank. My heart sank, but if I'm honest, at the same time, there was a sense of gratitude because I knew that I had gotten something right with this young man. And I'd shown him what accountability looked like. But at the same time, my heart just went out to him, fam. I mean, my heart just went out to him. His dad died in a tragic way, in a very, very tragic way. Something that you wouldn't expect as you're going into work that day. So what I did was I just continued to spend time with him. And over the course of the next couple of years, he did get in trouble. But what I did see from this young man was a level of accountability. He was accountable for his actions. And I really believe that some of that accountability really came from some of the interactions that we had, some of the examples that he was able to see from me, and then also from his parents. I still talk to his mother to this day because he has another sibling that's still in our school. Still talk to her. And she's forever grateful that we were always fair with her son. Also accountable, because when I was wrong, I came back and I told them, hey, I was wrong. And I don't ever want you to be blamed for something that you didn't do, because you don't deserve that from authority. We can't be abusing our authority, fam. If we get it wrong, let's just acknowledge that we're wrong, because our actions always speak louder than our words. We can either tell our children, our students, our kids to be accountable, or we can show them. It's best to tell them and to show them, because they're looking at our example. They're looking at our lives, and they will always imitate what they see from us.